Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am so happy and honored to be here tonight for the 11th annual MS dinner. I would like to thank the Villela family for welcoming me into KV's crew and for giving me this opportunity to share my MS journey with all of you. As Nikki mentioned, I met her about 6 years ago at a KV's crew fundraiser that was being held at Bar Youngstown. After several years of taking bar classes together, checking in with one another about our MS status, and attending this wonderful event, Nikki asked if I would like to speak about my MS journey in front of a room full of people. My first thought was absolutely not. After thinking a little more, I became, nope, I don't know what happened. Okay, no, I don't know. Just speak louder. Okay. Okay, no, yes. Huh? I don't think, oh, there I am, okay. After thinking a little more, I became flooded with mixed emotions. I first felt terrified at the thought of public speaking. I felt worried that my story wouldn't be interesting or meaningful enough to anyone, which then led me to feel a feeling of awkwardness and discomfort. If I accepted this honor to talk about my journey, that meant I'd actually have to fully admit that I am someone living with MS, which still doesn't seem real at times. But I also felt privileged that Nikki and Samantha asked me to speak at this very special event. Just keep going. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. How do I do that? Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So here I am. I thought my MS journey began on May 21st, 2013, which was my diagnosis day, but little did I know, it most likely began about a year prior to that. My sweet Anilla was born prematurely in August of 2012. The excitement of being a new mom almost instantly led to the extreme fear of having a very sick baby that would need surgery at 6 days old. Although Anilla had healed and was home with us, a month later, the stress of motherhood, having to go back to work, marital problems that would soon lead to a divorce, and just not feeling good began to take its toll. I began noticing that whenever my body would overheat from exercise or even a hot shower, I would experience pain and blurred vision in my left eye. After a couple of eye doctor visits and a bottle of eye drops for what they thought was dry eyes, I reached out to my family doctor. It was Dr. Miller, who immediately sent me for an MRI. I remember him telling me that he was almost certain that I either had a brain tumor or multiple sclerosis, which I knew nothing about. I am still so thankful for his incredible knowledge and quick action. The MRI results came back the very next day, and you guessed it, I have MS. Over the next couple months, I had a couple appointments with Dr. Renzel, my neurologist at the Cleveland Clinic Mellon Center, to discuss just about everything. I began reading and learning about relapsing remitting MS, which is what I have. Dr. Renzel discussed treatment options for the near future and ones that I may eventually need down the road. Good news seemed to be that the side effects of the medications would be minimal. Bad news is that actually having MS would bring many different challenges. Fatigue seemed to be the big one, and still is. It was decided that I would have an MRI yearly to check the status of my MS, and that I would visit the Mellon Center every 6 months to see my doctor. I was overwhelmed and scared with all of this information, but I distinctly remember one thing that Dr. Renzel had told me. She told me that it was extremely important to be able to manage my stress and to exercise regularly to keep my body strong. That was something I could control, which is when I found my happy place at Mega Bar Youngstown, thanks to my BFF, Molly. My first treatment was Copaxone, which was an injection that I gave myself daily. It was painful and left lumps and bruises all over my body. I felt good though, knowing that this medication I was taking was going to help me. And it did, for almost 5 years. Throughout that time, I continued to experience extreme fatigue, some hair loss, loss of depth perception and dizziness, but my MRIs showed that I had no new active lesions. That is until May 2018, my MRI came back showing 3 new lesions on my brain, which just meant it was time for a change of medication. I began taking Tecfidera, which is an oral medication that I took twice a day. That was actually a nice change from the injections that I had been giving myself. With Tecfidera, I was still experiencing some dizziness, imbalance, and the normal MS fatigue. One side effect of the medication was the flushing of skin, which I did experience, but on a pretty inconsistent basis. I continued with Tecfidera for the next couple of years, since I was feeling good and my MRIs were showing that there wasn't any new activity. Well, then 2020 came, which I'm sure was stressful and concerning for everyone. I lost my dad that year. Not only was I experiencing the extreme pain of losing my dad, but I was separated from most of my support system and pretty much most of the outside world. Following that year, I began experiencing blurred vision in my left eye and numbness on the right side of my body. It was hard to explain, but it just didn't feel like my body was working like it should be anymore. I had a difficult time getting in and out of bed, going up and down steps. I knew that this must have to do with MS, and I actually wasn't surprised because of the stress, anxiety, and emotional pain that I had experienced the year prior. My MRI did show 4 new lesions on my brain and 2 of them being active. That sounded scary, and my first thought was that this disease is actually progressing. I, of course, met with my neurologist and supporting doctors to discuss the next form of treatment. I was initially given a high dose of steroid treatments to help calm the flare-up. It was then described that I would be trying Ocrevus, which is an infusion medication that I would get every 6 months. So that's where I am today. I've been getting Ocrevus infusions for almost 2 years now. People laugh when I tell them about my infusion days, that they are some of my most favorite days of the year. I take my Tylenol and my Benadryl, and in case of an allergic reaction, and I have some of the best rest and most peaceful time of my life. And even better, my MRIs have shown no new activity since receiving these infusions. I am feeling good and only enduring minimal challenges. Sorry, my eyes are going blurry. Throughout my life and my journey with MS, I have learned that as much as I try, I can't control everything. I have also learned that I have so much to be thankful for. I am so thankful for my Anello, who keeps me going even though he has no idea that he does. I'm thankful for my mom and her constant love and support. I'm thankful for Mike, who is the love of my life and my personal driver on infusion days. I'm thankful for my sister, who is my very best friend, and my brother-in-law, John. I'm thankful that I have been blessed with amazing friends like Molly and Jen since high school. I am thankful for my Uncle Dave, who makes me feel close to my dad when I'm around him, and he really wanted me to mention his name. I am thankful to my Megabar girls for giving me my happy place and for helping to keep my body strong. And lastly, I'm thankful for being a part of this amazing event and being given the opportunity to share my MS journey with all of you.